unlock the jukebox. I wanna hear some Jones. My heart ain't.
In a world where most teenage dreams dissolve before the spotlight ever hits, one 18-year-old from the sleepy town of Addis, Louisiana has turned raw talent into national obsession. His name is Jon Foster, and if you haven't heard it yet, you will. From humble beginnings in a town most people can't find on a map to a jaw-dropping run on American Idol Season 23, Foster didn't just chase the spotlight, he commanded it. With a voice soaked in Southern grit and a heart full of gospel-rooted emotion, he brought tears to the eyes of millions, including judges like Carrie Underwood. But what the cameras didn't show was even more compelling: the grief he carried from a tragic loss, the double life he led as a student and performer, and the shocking rumors that nearly derailed his golden boy image. Today, the Celeb Insider takes you behind the fame, behind the voice, and into the private world of America's newest country sensation. Homes worth millions, cars that turn heads, and a truth behind the finale that some say changed everything. But the secret Jon Foster kept off camera? That might be the real plot twist. Before he ever stood under the spotlight of American Idol, Jon Foster was just another young man in Addis, Louisiana, a place where everyone knows your name, where family dinners stretch late into the evening, and where gospel songs echo through churches on Sunday mornings. Born in 2007 and raised by Amanda Benoit and Chris Foster alongside his sister Presley, Jon's world revolved around modest living and deep-rooted values. He wasn't raised on Hollywood dreams, but on hard work, community, and faith, qualities that would later shine through every performance. At St. John the Baptist Catholic Church, Jon didn't just attend Mass. He played music, led youth prayer circles, and became known for his quiet, steady leadership. Teachers at Brusley High School remember him as both brilliant and humble, a rare co-valedictorian who could ace a calculus test and then spend his lunch break helping classmates rehearse lines for a school play or chord progressions for a music recital. What struck many wasn't just his academic excellence or musicality, it was the way he carried himself, always offering a yes ma'am or thank you no matter who he was speaking to. His upbringing wasn't flashy, but it was powerful, and that steady emotional grounding gave him the calm strength to face a music industry known for chewing up and spitting out the unprepared. Friends recall Jon's childhood as one filled with guitars leaned against bedroom walls, family fishing trips, and open mic nights at local bars where he often sang to crowds who didn't yet know they were watching a star in the making. As the foundation of his story, Addis wasn't just a hometown, it was a training ground for his heart and the first verse of a life that was about to change forever. While Jon Foster's early life may have been grounded in faith and family, no amount of church hymns or small-town security could have prepared him for the heartbreak that would strike in 2022. That year, just as his star was beginning to quietly rise, Foster was hit with the kind of emotional devastation that no teenager should have to bear: the tragic deaths of two of his closest friends, Maggie Dunn and Caroline Gill, in a car accident that sent shockwaves through the West Baton Rouge community. The loss was both sudden and deeply personal. These weren't just classmates, they were companions, confidants, the kind of friends you plan futures with. The grief consumed him. Those who knew him at the time say Jon fell into a quiet, solemn space, withdrawing from the usual rhythms of teenage life. But amid that silence, something stirring began to take root. A song, born not from ambition but from anguish. "Tell That Angel I Love Her" wasn't intended for an audience, it was therapy, a whispered letter to the heavens. But when Jon later brought that song to the American Idol stage, the nation watched something extraordinary unfold. With tears in his eyes and tremble in his voice, he delivered a performance so raw, so achingly sincere, that judges and viewers alike were visibly shaken. It was more than a performance, it was a moment of shared humanity, where art and loss collided to create something unforgettable. Carrie Underwood wept, social media exploded, and millions connected with a young man who had transformed his pain into power. That single song, rooted in heartbreak, would become the anthem of his idol journey, and the emotional signature of a star who had already faced more than many twice his age. When Jon Foster arrived at his American Idol audition in early 2025, few outside his Louisiana parish knew who he was. But by the end of that day, he wasn't just another hopeful with a guitar, he was a serious contender whose name would soon trend nationwide. Dressed in worn denim and carrying his signature acoustic guitar, Jon initially planned to perform a contemporary country hit. But in a twist of fate that would change everything, Carrie Underwood, serving as a guest judge that day, offered a spontaneous suggestion: swap your original song for Conway Twitty's timeless ballad "Goodbye Time." Without hesitation, Jon nodded, adjusted his tuning, and began to sing. What followed was a masterclass in subtlety and soul, a stripped-back performance that silenced the room. Underwood leaned forward, visibly moved. Luke Bryan gave an approving grin and Lionel Richie simply nodded in awe. There were no dramatic runs or flashy tricks, just a young man with a voice that felt older than his years delivering truth in every note. All three judges gave him enthusiastic yeses, and that golden ticket held shakily in his hand as he left the room became the first tangible proof that the quiet kid from Addis had something the world needed to hear. But more than a television moment, that audition showcased something deeper. John's ability to pivot, to trust his instincts and to allow vulnerability to guide his art. That one change in song choice wasn't just a clever decision. It was a turning point, revealing to the judges and America alike that this wasn't just another talented teen. This was a storyteller in the making, a future star with the instincts of a seasoned performer and the humility of someone raised to listen before speaking. As John Foster advanced through American Idol Season 23, what began as a promising audition evolved into one of the most talked about journeys in recent show history. Week after week he delivered performances that felt less like competition entries and more like intimate letters from the heart. Whether it was his haunting cover of Brooks & Dunn's Neon Moon or the soulful resonance of Alan Jackson's Don't Rock the Jukebox, Foster didn't just sing, he summoned memories, evoked feelings, and connected with audiences in a way that felt deeply personal. But it was his return to Tell That Angel I Love Her that etched his name into Idol legend. Reprising the song during the top 10 round, John brought an entire studio to its feet and left the judges visibly shaken again. By then he wasn't just a contestant, he was a phenomenon. His social media following surged, with fan edits flooding TikTok and hashtags like Foster Finale trending each week. What made him so magnetic wasn't showmanship or celebrity gloss, it was the authenticity in his voice and the quiet strength in his eyes. He didn't demand attention, he earned it. By the time the finale aired on May 18, 2025, over 26 million votes were cast, marking the highest turnout since Idol's shift to ABC. Though John ultimately finished as runner-up to Jamal Roberts, many fans felt he'd won something bigger, their hearts. And when he stood on that finale stage smiling through tears, there was no sense of loss, only the beginning of a new chapter. His Idol run wasn't just about exposure, it was a national introduction to a young man whose music speaks volumes even when he says nothing at all. As John Foster's national profile soared, so too did the inevitable storm of rumors and online speculation, a rite of passage for any rising star. But what set Foster apart wasn't just how he sang, but how he responded. During the heated final weeks of Idol Season 23, eagle-eyed fans and conspiracy theorists began circulating claims that John had somehow glimpsed the name of the winner, Jamal Roberts, before the official announcement. Blurry screenshots, slowed down video clips, and even Reddit threads accused him of reading Ryan Seacrest's cue card, a moment that sparked online debate and cast an unnecessary shadow over what should have been a celebratory time. But instead of fueling the fire, Foster responded with clarity and grace. In a simple social media statement, he debunked the rumor directly. "I found out when you did," he wrote, "and I was just as surprised." The tone wasn't defensive, it was honest. Around the same time, other whispers began emerging, suggesting that John had secretly signed a record deal before the finale, a move that would have violated Idol's competition rules. Once again, Foster stepped forward, posting a handwritten letter to his fans on Facebook that not only denied any premature deals but also addressed growing questions about his age and background. "I'm 18, he clarified, "and I'm not signed yet, but I'm ready when the time is right." The post wasn't just a PR move, it was a reaffirmation of his transparency, a quiet promise to his fans that what they saw on stage was the same person off it. In an era where celebrity meltdowns often overshadow talent, John Foster's ability to remain composed, respectful, and focused revealed a maturity that belied his age. Rather than sink into drama, he floated above it, solidifying his reputation not just as a musician but as a young man fans could truly trust. For many Idol finalists, the weeks following the finale are a blur of short-lived interviews and missed opportunities, but for John Foster, the end of the show was merely the beginning of a career carefully, deliberately taking shape. Just days after his runner-up finish, Foster stunned both fans and critics by announcing his debut appearance at the Cajun Country Jam in Denham Springs over Memorial Day weekend 2025. The booking was more than a homecoming. It was a statement of intent that he was ready to transition from television darling to full-time performer, and it didn't stop there. Music insiders began reporting that Foster had been in quiet talks with several labels in Nashville, though no formal deal had been announced. Meanwhile, streaming platforms saw a surge in searches for his original ballad Tell That Angel I Love Her, along with his cover performances from the show. But what many didn't realize was that Foster had already been laying the groundwork for his post-Idol career long before the cameras ever turned on. Since 2022, he had independently released 4 singles, each a glimpse into the stylistic identity he was crafting, rooted in the storytelling traditions of country music, but with a modern vulnerability that set him apart. And now, with national attention and a fan base numbering in the millions, those early tracks were finding new life. Word began to spread that Foster was hard at work on a debut EP slated for late 2025, a project expected to feature both stripped-down ballads and radio-ready anthems. Critics have already begun comparing him to neo-traditional country artists like Zach Top or a young Dwight Yoakam, praising his refusal to chase trends in favor of preserving the emotional grit that earned him his platform. For Foster, music isn't a performance, it's an extension of self, and with momentum on his side, his post-Idol chapter promises to be just as compelling as the one that introduced him to the world. As John Foster's fame continues to bloom, so too does public curiosity about the lifestyle behind the voice, especially when it comes to where this grounded yet rising country star lays his head. While only 18, Foster is already associated with an intriguing trio of homes that seem to reflect his evolving identity and dreams. The first, reportedly nestled just outside Nashville, is a $1.5 million countryside manor that offers both creative refuge and modern luxury. With nearly 5,000 square feet of living space on a 5-acre lot, the house is a Southern classic reimagined white clapboard siding, black shutters and a wraparound porch lined with rocking chairs give it a timeless feel, while a gourmet kitchen and vaulted ceiling living room with a stone fireplace add a polished professional edge. The second property, a $1.3 million bayou cottage in Baton Rouge, represents Foster's Louisiana roots. Situated along a peaceful waterway and surrounded by magnolia trees, the 4,000-square-foot home exudes Cajun charm from its tin roof and screened porch to its heart pine floors and vintage kitchen setup designed for home-cooked gumbo and crawfish boils. Then there's the third property, a rumored $1.1 million mountain hideaway in Asheville, North Carolina, tucked into the Blue Ridge Mountains. This log cabin retreat offers a completely different kind of serenity, with its rustic stone chimney, hiking trails, fire pit and wraparound deck providing the perfect setting for songwriting, reflection, or simply escaping the noise of newfound fame. Whether or not Foster owns these homes outright remains unconfirmed, but what they represent is undeniable: a young man who values privacy, creativity, and a strong connection to the places that shaped him. These aren't mansions bought for show, they're sanctuaries chosen for peace. And in an industry obsessed with image, Foster's real estate narrative reads more like a map of emotional grounding than a checklist of luxury. It's not about where he lives, it's about what each space allows him to become. If John Foster's homes reflect his inner world, then his car collection is a loud, unapologetic expression of where he's headed fast. For someone barely out of high school, the vehicles associated with Foster's name range from jaw-dropping luxury to rugged dependability, and each one tells a different story about the young man behind the music. Topping the list is the Lamborghini Aventador SVJ, a green supercar beast worth over $600,000 that screams presence and power. Boasting a 6.5-liter V12 engine and an eye-watering 770 horsepower, this machine can hit 60 mph in under 3 seconds. Ideal for making a grand entrance whether it's on stage or cruising through the Louisiana countryside. The aggressive design paired with scissor doors and a custom carbon fiber interior mirrors Foster's meteoric rise, bold, fast, and impossible to ignore. But speed isn't all he's about. Next comes the Porsche 911 Turbo S, a $230,000 performance marvel known for its balance of elegance and engineering. With a twin-turbo engine that delivers 640 horsepower and all-wheel drive precision, it offers the perfect ride for late-night studio runs or early morning drives through Nashville's winding hills. The red leather seats and Bose sound system inside the sleek black exterior suggest someone who knows how to enjoy luxury without losing touch with comfort. Rounding out the lineup is perhaps the most personal vehicle of them all, the Ford F-150 Raptor. Priced around $80,000, this rugged pickup truck is more than a mode of transportation, it's a symbol of Foster's roots. With its off-road capabilities, durable frame, and raw power, it's the truck you'd expect a country boy to own. Whether hauling sound gear to a local gig or driving out to a quiet lake to fish and write, the Raptor speaks to the side of John that fame hasn't and won't change. These three vehicles together form a portrait not just of wealth but of balance, the showstopper, the strategist, and the soul. And much like his music, Foster's garage proves he's got range. In an industry often driven by spectacle and self-promotion, John Foster's connection to faith and community offers a refreshing and increasingly rare anchor. While his success has carried him from the small towns of Louisiana to the national stage, those closest to him say he remains firmly grounded in the very values that shaped his early years. Much of that grounding comes from his active involvement at St. John the Baptist Catholic Church in Brusly. where he wasn't just a passive attendee, but an engaged member of the congregation. He led youth Bible studies, played guitar during services, and helped organize parish events, a spiritual investment that shaped not just his worldview, but his character. Even as millions watched him on American Idol, local parishioners recall seeing him slip into the back pews quietly during visits home, content to be part of something larger than himself. That humility extended far beyond the church walls. During his Idol hometown visit in May 2025, Foster returned to Brusley High School, where he was greeted by students and faculty with overwhelming pride. Later that day, he stood before lawmakers at the Louisiana state capitol and performed Amazing Grace, turning a government building into a sanctuary of shared emotion. But it wasn't just the notes he sang, it was the message he delivered. "I know some people get tired of me talking about Louisiana," he said, "but it's who I am." That declaration wasn't pandering, it was truth. In every interview, in every post, John continues to shine a spotlight not on himself, but on the teachers, pastors, friends, and neighbors who helped him rise. He still volunteers at local fundraisers, still shows up to small-town events, and still posts about his love for family dinners and quiet mornings in Addis. Even when facing online rumors or fan-fueled controversies, Foster has never lashed out or leaned into drama. Instead, he responds with grace, correcting falsehoods when needed, but always returning focus to the music and the message. In a world spinning faster by the day, John Foster walks slowly, intentionally, with a deep sense of purpose rooted in something greater than fame. It's that spiritual stillness, that unwavering connection to home, that keeps him balanced in the storm of rising celebrity, and it may be his greatest strength of all. As we close the curtain on this in-depth look into the life of John Foster, one truth echoes louder than any performance: this young man's journey is only just beginning. From the tight-knit streets of Addis to the national spotlight of American Idol, John has proven that it's still possible to build a music career on sincerity, faith, and emotional depth. His voice is more than a melodic instrument, it's a reflection of everything he's carried, from personal grief to deep-rooted gratitude, and every performance serves as a bridge between past pain and future promise. The homes he's associated with, from a Nashville manor to a bayou cottage and a mountain hideaway, aren't just symbols of success, but extensions of a lifestyle that values peace, privacy, and personal growth. His car collection isn't about flashy wealth, but represents a well-balanced personality, one part dreamer, one part traditionalist, and one part grounded Southern soul. His post-Idol momentum is more than a flash in the pan. It's the slow burn of a career built on authenticity, artistic integrity, and a refusal to conform to industry pressure. And perhaps most importantly, his ongoing commitment to community, faith, and emotional transparency ensures that his public persona never strays far from the real person behind the fame. As 2025 unfolds, rumors of a debut EP continue to swirl, with fans eagerly awaiting the next evolution of his sound. Industry insiders whisper about collaborations and recording sessions in Nashville, while loyal followers from Louisiana and beyond wait patiently, not just for the next song but for the next moment where John Foster makes them feel something real. And that, ultimately, is his superpower. In a world where trends fade and stars fall as quickly as they rise, John Foster shines not because he chases attention but because he honors the truth of who he is. If his early years were the prologue and Idol the first act, then what comes next promises to be a story worth watching and worth listening to. For now, one thing remains certain: whether he's singing on a festival stage, writing alone in the mountains, or praying quietly in the pews of his hometown church, John Foster is building more than a music career. He's building a legacy. And that legacy, it seems, has only just begun. This video was created for informational and entertainment purposes only. While efforts have been made to verify facts and represent public information accurately, some content may include reported details, speculative commentary, or dramatized storytelling based on publicly available sources. Any properties, vehicles, or lifestyle elements discussed are either public knowledge, symbolic representations, or based on unconfirmed reports and do not constitute verified ownership unless officially confirmed by the subject or their representatives. John Foster and his affiliates have not participated in or endorsed this content. All names, trademarks, and images belong to their respective owners. Viewers are encouraged to conduct their own research and interpret content responsibly.